Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 68, then sunshine on Friday with a high of 83. Whether you're dining in or dining out, Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors will make your next meal one to remember. Check out selections like Hazel's Northeast and Cafe Latte. Visit the full list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot, and we discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Native Roots Trading Post. We will be at the Minnesota State Fair starting Thursday, August 25th through Monday, September 5th, and we're really excited about it.
Countdown starting, Wendy.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have a gray hair. But hey, so Ogimaa, Wendy just read that like perfectly, and how come we couldn't do that when she was traveling? What's up?
I'm not sure. It's a Wendy specialty. We needed you bad yesterday. We were both struggling, and the day before that too. Actually, every day you've been gone. The live reads have been hard for us.
It's glad to be missed.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and we lead off the show here with Ogimaa with the news that you don't hear anywhere else. So welcome, Ogimaa, and welcome back, Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, welcome back, Wendy. Hello, Buju Anin, everybody. I am Ogimaa Ganuakwe. I am a citizen of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and I'm here with you on Native Roots Radio with some news. I want to talk about a little bit more about what Nancy Bolio talked about on the show yesterday. Nancy Bolio joined us on Native Roots Radio yesterday with good news from water protectors. And this is from the press release put out by the Civil Liberties Defense Center just yesterday that Anishinaabe water protectors' cases were dismissed on Indigenous sovereignty grounds. So water protectors Nancy Bolio, Justin Keyser, and Todd Thompson were charged with criminal trespass for their presence at the Firelight Camp, which was an 8-day ceremonial camp held at the Mississippi River in June of 2021. The Firelight Camp was located on territory ceded to the United States by a treaty where Enbridge Energy Corporation was building its Line 3 pipeline across the Mississippi River near its headwaters. Because the pipeline threatened sacred waters, Indigenous water protectors and their guests went up onto this bridge, you could call it, and occupied the space for 8 days. And they were originally charged and prosecuted for trespass by the state of Minnesota in the Clearwater County District Court. However, because several of the participants were Indigenous, they were transferred to the White Earth Tribal Court, which included Mr. Bolio, or excuse me, Miss Bolio, Mr. Keyser, and Mr. Thompson. And now, just this last week, White Earth Tribal Court Judge David DeGroat issued an order granting the three water protectors motions for dismissing the cases on the grounds that their actions were lawful exercises of sovereign Indigenous rights reserved in the 1855 treaty territory. So that protects nonviolent direct action pursuant to the White Earth Tribal Code. Judge DeGroat's order states that neither treaty nor federal law purports to divest Anishinaabe people from our sovereign usufructory rights. I shouldn't even have tried that one.
Wow.
On treaty ceded
Did,
lands.
did Patrick beep that out? Holy
I hope
mackerel.
he did. Anyway,
Patrick?
basically, the judge said that neither treaty nor federal law means that Anishinaabe people have to give up their treaty rights on treaty ceded lands, including the right to hold up religious ceremonies, invite guests of their choosing, and to share in those experiences. So, Patrick just texted me. He said he did bleep it. So thank you, Patrick. We appreciate you. So that is big news. So this is going to be the first time that there's actual legal precedence to say that Native people have the right to protect water within ceded lands. So that is a big deal. Wanted to uplift that. Moving on, I want to remind people that coming up, it's actually going to be over my birthday weekend. So I might be here. The second Shell River reunion at Shell City Campground near Huntersville State Forest in Monaga, Minnesota will be happening. I do believe that the artist that is performing is going to be, it's either going to be Corey Medina. I think it might be Corey Medina in July, which would be really exciting. But there will be music. You can come camp. You can come talk about how to protect the Shell River. Do all of those fun things. That is a great event that is coming up. Another event that's coming up the week of the 14th is water protectors who are being tried in Aiken County do need support. Shania Matson and others are being tried in Aiken County. They have criminal trials. Shania Matson especially because I believe she is being tried with a gross misdemeanor for conspiring, aiding, and abetting criminal trespass on critical public infrastructure pipeline. She's pled not guilty to these charges and is now facing a jury trial in Aiken County. So Wednesday, July 13th, Thursday, July 14th, and Friday, July 15th, starting out each day at 8:30 and going until 4 p.m. at the Aiken County Courthouse in Aiken, Minnesota. People will be gathering and holding space to rally outside the courthouse. They plan to have drummers, breakfast, and lunch is going to be served. Bring artwork and friends, and if you feel comfortable, wear formal court clothes to let our water protectors know that you are there with them. And then I do believe we have a save the date coming up for the following week in July for the Shell River 7, which I will talk a little bit more about tomorrow. I do want to touch base on some more national, I guess, world news with this one. From Indian Country Today, the Canadian government on Monday said it signed a $20 billion agreement to compensate First Nations children and families that were harmed by chronic underfunding of child welfare. So the Assembly of First Nations and plaintiffs in 2 class action lawsuits have agreed to this deal, and that the Indigenous Services in Canada, which was a government agency, said the settlement is the largest in Canadian history. So basically, the Canadian government has settled on compensation, saying that there are families and people who have suffered tremendously through discriminatory and systemic racist child welfare practices in Canada. So, Robert, if that's something that we can get going here in the United States, I think that that would be really helpful. That's something that we talk about a lot.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I still can't get over you swearing, so I'm still here.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to come back from that one, huh?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
no, and I agree. Good for Canada, and also good to see that clown from England be resigned too. So I just got to throw that out in the news.
yes,
The
I
minister,
agree
yeah.
there.
Mhm.
My final story, it's a bit of a sad news, and I don't know if you, um, oh, never mind. Sorry about that. I guess I don't know that it's sad. It's confusing. So the Supreme Court issued another decision with a tribe, allowing a tribe near El Paso, Texas, to offer electronic bingo at its gaming facility, and it was a
Mhm.
5-4 decision in favor of them. So I'm really confused by the current Supreme Court because they struck down the McGirt decision just last week, and now this week they're saying that in this case, um, there's no evidence that Congress endowed the state of Texas any sort of power to be treated or to have any sort of power over the tribe's ability to have gaming at its facility. So I don't know if it's sad, but it's definitely confusing. Um, so it's a victory, but it doesn't it doesn't really fit in what's been happening. So further Supreme Court things that are scheduled to come as far as Indigenous and sovereignty issues that are coming forward are kind of going to be a little bit rocky, I think, because we've got a decision that favors um, freedom of. I guess I'm not even sure how to word this, but there's a decision that favors Indian gaming, and now there's a decision that favors the state when it comes to legal precedents. So this is going to be interesting to see going forward.
Yeah, it's more than interesting. Ogimaa, yeah, you're not used to these long segments. I see. We gave you a couple extra minutes today. Uh,
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not used to this long segment, and I think accidentally dropping an F-bomb really threw me off, and I forgot to put my phone on silent. So hopefully tomorrow, y'all, I will do better. So
no, you do great always. It makes the charm of our show, Wendy, that we are professionals, but really we're not. Hey, so Ogimaa's the only professional here, and Wendy, you do a lot of prep beforehand. We have next Alan Roy, who's running for state senator, and then we're going to have Robert Lilligren, and we're going to have Wendy with our sacred animal section that we've missed.
Woohoo.
We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
See how I said that slow because we have 9 more seconds. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Matt McNeil here. I've said it before. I will always drive a Toyota Sienna. In my mind, it's the best vehicle available. Whether I'm driving across town or across the country, there's no vehicle that makes long drives easier. The Toyota Sienna is the most comfortable car I've ever driven. Roomy, space for the whole family, even though the kids have gotten bigger. And I can even fit all of our luggage, bikes, and fishing gear in the back. Easy. I stand by Toyotas. They're great vehicles, and the only place I'll buy one is Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
Don't fall for vaccine misinformation. Local medical professionals are available to answer any of your questions. Initial shots and boosters are safe for people who are pregnant and even young children. Right now, vaccines are available for anyone over 6 months of age, while boosters are available for anyone over the age of 5. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN 350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Hey, thank you, Wendy. Hey, we have Alan Roy, who's running for Minnesota State Senator in District 2 on, and we're starting to rock the vote Native style, and we started that Tuesday, and we're really excited to have Alan on for this show today, and we're going to have you on Tuesdays too, coming up all the way up to the election. But we wanted to check in and see how you're doing, how we can support you, and just a quick update. So, Alan, remember we have listeners all over the country and Wisconsin. Maybe introduce yourself a little bit and tell a little bit about you. And you know, we need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office, and you are doing that. Welcome.
Thanks, Robert. I hope you guys can hear me well.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on. It's always great to be on Native Roots Radio. I remember a couple of years ago when we started this process, when I first ran for state senate, we got the word out. You guys were terrific in getting that and rocking the Native vote. And you know, a lot of folks don't realize, but up in here in Senate District 2, we've got, after redistricting, we have the 3 largest Native American reservations in the state. You got White Earth, Leech Lake, and Red Lake all in the same Senate district. And it is that redistricting has made a tremendous difference for my chances and Reed Olson's chances, who's running for House District 2A, and House District 2B, Erica Bailey Johnson, who's a Red Lake band member. All 3 of us makes a tremendous difference for us. I'm just very excited to be on here tonight with you guys.
Well, Roy, Alan, you were, when we were doing our COVID stuff, I don't know if you remember this was pre-election too, that we were checking in with everyone all over Turtle Island, and you were one of the original Sunday night broadcasters, and we really appreciate you being on, and we can't help but want to support you, you know. And how can people all over the country here donate to your campaign?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a website. Anyone out there can pick up their phone or go to their computer and go to www.alanroyforsenate.com. And you go right on there. It has, if you want to volunteer, you can sign up to volunteer there. If you want yard signs, you can sign up for yard signs. We'll gather that information and send it over to folks. If you want to donate to our campaign, which is really important for us grassroots candidates, because we don't take any corporate money, you click on the donate button. It'll bring you right to Act Blue, and you just enter your information, and receipt will be printed off for you right then and there. Every amount helps, whether it's $1 or $100 or anything in between. It all adds up and makes a big difference. I also want to remind folks, Minnesota has a PCR program. It's known as Political Contribution Refund Program. If you're an individual, a Minnesota resident, and an eligible voter, you may donate to any campaign, such as mine, up to $50 as an individual. You fill out the form, we provide you a receipt, and you send that back to the Minnesota Department of Revenue, and the Minnesota Department of Revenue will reimburse you for that amount. If you're a couple, you may donate up to $100, and the Minnesota Department of Revenue will donate that money back to you. The caveat to that is that you can do it only once per year, but that PCR program, Political Contribution Refund Program, helps a lot of grassroots candidates, and it helps keep corporate money out of our state elections.
Well, we're on super red alert here, and especially the state of Minnesota, where we have right now representatives are Democrat and the Senate is Republican, and we need people like you to be voted in. So we are on total red alert here in the state of Minnesota. Excited the last cycle that we had 9,000 new people up in the deep north where you are, Native Americans, sign up for excuse me.
Register to vote. Yes.
Register to vote. Thank you. And, yeah, thanks, Wendy. But it's exciting, and I see that happening again too.
Yes, this is 2 years ago. The Nancy Bolio and a few other folks out there were registering a whole bunch of Native American tribal members up on the reservations here in the north, and it was first-time voters, a lot of first-time voters, people that were not engaged with the process. We know that for Democrats to win, it's driven by the community and our community members. It's one at the doorstep. We know that door knocking is very effective. Voter registration drives are very effective. These things we need to focus on. You're absolutely right. And I would also add, 2 years ago, during the pandemic, unfortunately, we weren't able to go door to door and visit folks because of restrictions. However, this year, we've been doing a lot of parades. If you guys go on my Twitter and my Facebook, you can see me and my family and my kids and all these supporters out there doing these parades. And we're always looking for volunteers. So whether you want to help register folks, or you just want to go door knock, or you just want to go throw some candy to kids during the parade, that's all good too.
Well, that's a really good point. And I know Matt McNeil, who's on AM 950 also, he talks about if you're like Wendy and I are in a pretty Democratic area here down here in the Twin Cities, if you feel like you want to help, coming up north and helping a candidate like you would be a really, really big thing to do. And the door knocking now, because we're out of COVID and we can do face-to-face stuff. So I think that's something that we really need to talk to our listeners about too. If you're in a district that's set pretty well, go up and help someone like Alan Roy.
I would welcome folks from the Twin Cities with open arms. It makes a heck of a difference. Volunteers are very important to every campaign, especially in rural Minnesota. They're hard to come by. There's very few folks that have time, and there's travel and distance. So if you have time or friends that you guys want to help out, our campaigns up here would make a big difference. However, I will say this: we are Senate District 2, the Senate District 2 committee. And myself, Alan Roy, and Reed Olson, who's running for House 2A, and Erica Bailey Johnson, who's running for House 2B, we are coming to the Twin Cities on July 24th. We are hosting a fish fry fundraiser. It's going to be Red Lake walleye. It's going to be wild rice. It's going to be fish fried down in Fridley down there, I think down in the Common Parks. It's on my Twitter. I'll share it with you guys later on after the show. For those folks that are in the Twin Cities, if you can't make it up north, at least come to this fish fry fundraiser. You will not be disappointed. This Red Lake walleye is just absolutely the best walleye I've ever tasted. and we're bringing the fish fry crew down for everyone that wants to taste it.
Wow, that's great. And let us know too when it gets close so we can really blast it out there. Hey, one thing I want to talk about, Alan, is that you're a vet, you're a family man. Talk to our audience a little bit about yourself and your background. You also work for the nation up there too.
Yep. I'm a Iraq war veteran. I served in the Army on active duty, and now I serve in the Army Reserve currently. I'm a major in the Army Reserve, and in fact, I'm going to do battle assembly this weekend out in Colorado. I've been doing this for about 15 years. It's something that both my granddads served in the Army, and it's something that my family takes very seriously, and it's part of our heritage. And a lot of folks don't know that Native Americans have the highest rate of service among any group in the United States. I got a wife and 3 kids, and they help me out, and on whether I'm in the Army doing stuff, whether I'm doing on the campaign trail doing stuff. And fortunately, on a final note, today is my last day on the Tribal Council on White Earth, and so we've sworn in a new Tribal Council, and so I do want to reach out to those guys and say congratulations to them. I was at the swearing in today. I think White Earth is heading in a great direction. So
wow,
that's great comments there, Robert.
Yeah, that's awesome. We got like less than a minute.
I have a quick question, if you don't mind.
Go ahead,
So,
Wendy.
Alan, when you win your election, what issues are you running for, and what issues do you want to change?
Absolutely. I'm focused on 3 areas right now. Well, I would say 4. The first one would be farming and agriculture. On the western side of Senate District 2, we've got a huge farming community. We've got a lot of food sovereignty, native food sovereignty issues as well that are present. I'm also focused on the economy, especially with the inflation and prices that are fluctuating. We're focused on that as well. And education. I'm a strong believer in education. I do want to get more support for our schools, especially in rural Minnesota. And finally, I'm focused on also tribal sovereignty, because we do have the 3 largest reservations in Senate District 2. And I want to make sure the state legislature is working with our tribal governments in a respectful manner.
Well, first of all, perfect question, Wendy. Thank you so much. And Alan, thank you for stopping in. We want to check in with you every once in a while and get you again on Rock the Boat Native Style. But I think it's important. I saw all the great work and the running around you and your family are doing, because you're here for the people, and that's what it's all about. I really appreciate you being on.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, Pinagigi. Hey, wow, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Alan Roy.
Yep, Alan Roy.
We'll be right back for Senate seat number 2 up in the deep north. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
COVID levels may be falling, but the virus is still around. Stay healthy and up to date on your COVID vaccinations and boosters. Right now, everyone 6 months and older is eligible to get a vaccination, while everyone 5 and up is eligible for their booster shot. Plus, you're eligible for a second booster if you're over 50 and received an initial booster dose at least 4 months ago. Find a vaccination site by calling 651-304-9986 or visit vaccineconnector.mn.gov. This message brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey everybody, this is Gregory Rich, founder of Habitation Furnishing and Design and host of Drink in the Style. Say, I'm willing to bet that you're hearing this in your car and there's a good chance that you're heading home. If that's the case, let me ask you, are you looking forward to getting there? Is your home a place that energizes? Well, if it isn't, it might be time for a furnishings refresh. Think about it. We've all spent a lot of time at home over the past couple of years, and maybe you need more than just a new sofa. Why not have a skilled, professional, tasteful interior designer from Habitation help you create a space that is exceptional? Whether it's your family room, living room, bedroom, or even home workspace, Habitation can help you create an environment that is exactly what you've always wanted. Habitation Furnishing and Design, located at the District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at habitationdesign.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Cloudy tonight with a low of 68, then sunshine on Friday with a high of 83. Whether you're dining in or dining out, Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors will make your next meal one to remember. Check out selections like Hazel's Northeast and Cafe Latte. Visit the full list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
This is Winona LaDuke of Honor the Earth, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Thank you, Wendy. Hey, we have Robert Lilligren on, a little small version of Robert, but he's got things to do, and we really appreciate him stopping in. Also, a belated happy birthday, big time. You're still ahead of me, so happy birthday, Robert, and welcome.
Yeah, miigwech, Robert. Hey, Wendy. Hey, Ogimaa. Nice to see y'all. Thanks for the birthday wishes. I will always be your elder, Robert. So
Yes, there you go.
don't you forget it.
I don't. Hey, so a lot of crazy stuff going on. I mean, one of the things I'd like to talk to you about real quick before we get into what you want to talk about is that we had another George Floyd situation today where they gave the police officer more time, and so that's a good thing.
Correct. So that was the civil case, right? On the with
Right.
David Chauvin, and so it's 21 more years on top of what he's already serving. So one of the few times I can remember where there was this level of accountability and justice on a case like this.
Yeah, really good point. And also, we just have so many sad things happening that we've been reporting this week, and there's mental health issues all over the world, but it seems like the United States, with our freewheeling guns, guns are the decision, and guns are easy to get, and parents get guns for people. It's just insane.
Agree. I'm guessing y'all seen the story about the father of the latest shooter, the July 4th shooter, and
Right.
that he had to sign for his son to go through the screening process, and he literally said, "I have no regrets. I have no regrets signing for that," and that just makes my my blood run cold.
Well, Robert, I know, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but I know that, it's been reported that his father ran for office and he was a real Trumper, and the shooter, was at many Trump rallies. And so it's just crazy. Since 2016, it's been okay to be racist and okay to be all these things, and now it's because of Trump, we are like living in a unbelievable world right now.
It is unbelievable, and it is, I think that Trump era, that Trump term, just gave permission to say things that probably shouldn't be said out loud, to say them out loud, and to scream them in the streets, and to act on them, and that was a permissive environment for that kind of behavior. And now we're living in a white supremacist minority rule explicitly, and it feels a little uncomfortable to me.
Right.
I just want to say this. Robert and I were recently in New York City celebrating our anniversary. And as any big city, we have people in poverty who are, poor, they're begging on the street. But you know what? We also saw people who were clearly mentally ill, like talking to themselves and just, things like that. We could definitely tell that these people needed maybe medication, intervention, but they're not. They're homeless. They're on the street. And, the scary part is that anybody can go buy a gun. Like you're not going to have to prove why you need the gun, what you're going to be using the gun for. You could just go in and buy a gun. And that's a little scary to me to know that there are so many, mentally ill people like this person who just shot up all these people on July 4th, who's clearly mentally ill. If it wasn't for his father signing for the guns, but he still got them.
Right. I agree 100%. So, I would feel safer if nobody had guns, or people hunt, things like that, and maybe there's a recreational piece that I could maybe wrap my brain around. But why a private citizen needs an assault weapon, I will never understand. And if this idea that someday I may need to overthrow my tyrannical federal government, it ain't gonna happen. The federal government is better armed than you will ever be. So there's this, it's just a weird aspect of American life that kills people.
Exactly. Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, director of the Native American Community Development Institute, and we like to visit with Robert once a week here at least. And let's maybe switch gears to something more positive. What's happening down in Franklin? And I know Sunday there's Franklin Avenue. There's stuff happening, and and also what you guys have happen on Thursdays. I really want to amplify that too. So let's switch gears and talk a little bit about Franklin and what you do and the positive things that are happening in Indian country here.
Appreciate that, Robert. So Thursdays, let's start with that since it's Thursday today. And one of the projects within the organization I work for, Native American Community Development Institute, NACDI, is our Four Sisters Farmers Market. And Four Sisters is umbrella for a lot of food access, food sovereignty efforts. We have a market, we have a urban farm now and things. So the Thursdays 11 to 3 is the Four Sisters Farmers Market right there at Powell Grounds parking lot. That's our building where our office is. It's just a great happening on Franklin, man. And all it's just kind of the coolest scene and very social. Lots of good food vendors. Bob Rice of Powell Grounds was selling fry bread pizzas today out of this world. So there's prepared foods as well. And if folks have SNAP, they can triple their SNAP dollars there. We have a couple of layers of programs. So it's just a great bargain. It makes good organic and often indigenous foods accessible to people. So stop on down every Thursday, 11 to 3. There's always something happening at Four Sisters Farmers Market. And then just along the avenue on Sunday, as you said, it's open streets on Franklin Avenue. And for folks not from Minneapolis, open streets is there's multiple events here, throughout the season where major commercial corridors like Franklin Avenue are closed to vehicle traffic and just open to pedestrians, bicyclists, and other people rolling. So and it's everything goes out into the street, vendors, activities. The American Indian Cultural Corridor segment is going to be well represented. Stop down vendors, information, activities, arts activities. It's going to be real fun. And that goes, I believe the hours are 11 to 3 as well, maybe 11 to 4. But it's open streets, Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. It's going to be a ton of. Are you going to be there? Are you broadcasting?
We're not going to broadcast. No, we didn't get it together in time to deal with the mother station and all that. But no, but we're going to be out there to visit. And I remember a few years ago before COVID, it was really fun, and it was at night and things were happening. That was a lot of fun, and it'll be good just to get out there. And I know a lot of people will be there because, we've been shut in for so long, and I see more people at events now than I have in a long time. So it's been exciting, and we'll see people out there, and it's
So
outside. So
yeah, and old timers like us, I've seen just since COVID and sort of getting back into community, all these people I've never seen before. And it's not like I know everybody in Minneapolis or anything, but we're a fairly small community. And it's like, you've seen most people at least around. And now it's just all these young people, especially I've never seen before. It's just great. It feels like a community that's growing and thriving.
Yeah, I think of this because we're really expanding out too in our reach in Wisconsin soon, and we already are in Chicago, Milwaukee, and Madison, of course, the Twin Cities. How can people reach you or your group to, like, I want to say, mimic what you're doing here in a good way? If people want to know what you're doing, and how you're doing it, how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, cool. Thanks for the question. And just go to our website. It's NACDI, that's the initials, Native American Community Development Institute, NACDI.org. Reach out. You can reach out to me directly. Please think of us as a resource. And we are part of a network of sort of asset-based community development agents and in the Native community, especially the urban Indian community. And so it's this growing, burgeoning network, and it's super exciting. And so sharing that kind of information, I think, is really is very mission aligned for NACDI. So I would love to hear from anyone, and you can teach us something. Maybe we can teach you something, and go from there.
Yeah, and that's exciting, and I think that's what the spirit of being Native is, especially now in the 21st century, is to help each other.
Agree. And that's our mission. That's NACDI's mission, right? I would just really like to lift up in these final seconds. We're just moving into a refresh of what we call our American Indian Community Blueprint. I don't know that the next iteration of it will be called that, but it's going to be a huge community-wide effort, 2 years of community engagement. We put together a little brain trust think tank that's advising NACDI on how to move forward. So more to come on that. But folks can see that document at our website, the American Indian Community Blueprint, a great vision document for the community. And we're going to see version 2 soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Robert, for stopping in. I know you're having a busy day. Really appreciate it. All right. Hey, you're listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and we'll be back with Wendy in her Sacred Animal section.
Stay with us. Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN 350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN 350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow this summer, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Bonjour, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many, only a few years. And she fights, a good battle here. And she talks about our sacred animals and a lot of fun stuff and a lot of important stuff. And see, I'm making your intro longer because your segment's longer than usual. So, but hey, Wendy, thank you. You've been on the show since day one and supported me and the show, and you're the co-host. And we've been doing this for over 5.5 years, and it's just been a blessing to learn from you. And that's it. I'm done with my intro.
Yeah, it's been fun. Really, it's fun stuff. Hey, everybody. My name is Hanajihihani, and that means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. It's always my pleasure to do that. Before I get started, I have a lot of good things to talk about today. I don't remember if I mentioned this or not, but I'm going to mention it again. So on June 27th, this is from the Humane World Kitty Blocks blog, good news, which I'm surprised Louisiana became the ninth state to ban the sale of cosmetic tested on animals. So did I say that?
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay, good. I just want to remind everybody the other states that do not sell cosmetics that are tested on animals: California, Nevada, Illinois.
There's only one of them.
I was going to just about to say Illinois. It's Illinois,
Yes.
Virginia, Maryland, Maine, Hawaii, and New Jersey. Now, if this is something you want in your state, contact your senator. I'm going to go back to what I originally wanted to talk about tonight, because there's a lot of times one animal looks like another, or they're almost the same species, but they're really not. So things people think are the same, but they're actually different. This article is from the C-Tech. That's the name of the article, C-Tech, and this is written by Omari Hades, and it was dated June 7th, 2022. And so some of these I already knew and some of them I didn't. So for instance, llamas versus alpacas. So a lot of people might think that these animals are the same, llamas versus alpacas. Due to llamas and alpacas belonging to the same family, it's understandable why they're often mixed up. However, the two animals are different in quite a few ways. The main difference between llamas and alpacas are in their size and face shapes. Llamas are larger than alpacas and have long curved ears and longer faces in comparison to alpacas' short spear-shaped ears and smushed faces. In addition, alpacas are herd animals while llamas tend to be more independent. I didn't know that. But on each one, I want to just take a vote on the three of us. Which one do you think's cuter? I think I think that the alpaca is a cuter of the two.
It looks like Kathleen, one of our listeners and watchers, because again, I just want to say this real quick.
Yeah.
We're on YouTube and Facebook, so if you want to see what Wendy's talking about or see us, we're on YouTube and Facebook. And I really like
Twitter.
And Twitter. Thank you, Ogimaa.
Yes, and Twitter. But I'm getting a kick out of this. One of our listeners says alpacas are like half a lamb and half a camel. And I'm going to have to agree there. I have heard that alpacas generally tend to be kinder and gentler than llamas. So I'm going to go with alpacas being cuter because they're nicer.
Exactly. And Kathleen just said she was at a alpaca farm today. And I think that llamas also spit. I think they spit at people, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody could, let us know about that. But I'm pretty sure a llama spit at me once.
Wow.
What about wallabies and kangaroos? Wallabies and kangaroos are very similar Australian animals. So how can one tell them apart? Well, for starters, kangaroos are much taller than wallabies. In addition, kangaroos have longer legs that can look disproportionate to their bodies, whereas wallabies have more compact legs. Another way to distinguish between a wallaby and a kangaroo is by their color. Wallabies have bright streaks on their coat, and kangaroos have a more dull, uniform coat. I'm thinking I like the wallaby.
Well, I'm thinking that the creator had a good sense of humor because these look like goofy little animals.
Can I just admit that kangaroos have always creeped me out a little bit? I know people think they're
Oh,
really
they
cute,
box,
but kangaroos have always just rubbed me the wrong way. Not a
they'll,
fan of
they'll
the
box you
kangaroo.
out.
Well, the wallaby to me looks like a little bit of fluffier. So I think he's cuter. Our next animal here is raven versus crow. Now, I love these animals. Ravens and crows may belong to the same family and are seemingly near identical, but the two birds are actually different. So how can you distinguish between these very similar birds? Ravens and crows are distinguishable by their bills and their tails, as ravens have thicker bills and longer tails. In addition, ravens tend to be larger in size than crows, measuring on average about 25 inches in comparison to the crow's 16 to 20 inches. I'm partial to the crows just because we have those in our backyard. So I love the crows, and they're very smart, and I give them peanuts, and some of the crows will pick up 2 peanuts at a time. And they say that they could recognize people, and they do little tools. They make tools, and they do things like that. So
They're not even afraid of you. They just jump on the garage when you throw them peanuts and go, thank you. And I know when you were gone, Wendy, for those few days, I would be out in the backyard and they'd start crowing at me and they're yelling at me wanting peanuts.
Yeah, because they remember. How about you, Ogimaa?
Ravens are interesting to me, and they're a little bit smarter than crows. And if I'm not mistaken, I think ravens will sometimes imitate other bird calls, which I think is super fascinating because then they're kind of like a part parrot, part crow. And I don't know. I think I like ravens better.
Okay, there we go.
They're kind of imposter birds too, if they can mimic other birds. What the hell? What the heck?
Lizards versus a salamander. While lizards and salamanders look alike, the two are completely different species. The main difference between salamanders and lizards is that salamanders have a moist, non-scaly skin, whereas lizards have a rough, scaly skin. Lizards also have longer legs. In addition, while each leg of the lizard has 5 fingers and 5 toes, salamanders have 4 fingers and 5 toes on each leg.
Wow. And they're both slimy and creepy and
I think
look
that
like
the
a frog.
salamander is definitely cuter.
Looks like a frog.
And he's cuter too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we have time for one more.
Yeah, you definitely have one.
Okay. Due to their spotted spots, the similar appearance, many tend to confuse a jaguar and a leopard. However, the two are different. I didn't know that. Neither did I. The main difference between the two is their body structure, with the jaguar being bigger and bulkier than leopards. Another distinguishable point between the two is their markings. While leopards' marking are smaller, less complex, and grouped closer together, the jaguar's markings are large, and in the center of each mark, there is more black spots. I think that they're both adorable, and I cannot choose between either one of them.
They're
I'm
both.
really confused now. So, what are the ones that are solid black? Are those panthers? Are they different than?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
solid or Black Panthers. Yeah.
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were a radical group in the '60s too. That American Indian movement mirrored. Just a little
Mhm.
trivia there.
Yeah.
Hey, so I think we're going to wrap it up, Wendy.
Okay.
This was a lot of fun, and you kept
I'll finish it
everybody's.
up tomorrow. I have quite a few more. We'll do it for Fun Fact Friday.
Just got to give you applause there. That was a
Yeah,
good
some of them
segment.
I
I
knew
like
and
this
some of them
one.
I didn't. Yeah, it's always fun, right?
Totally. Hey, so let's wrap it up here. We had a great show today, and I'm going to crank on the music here and say, if you are listening to this show, you are part of the resistance from Chief Plentycoops. The ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. We are still here. We are the seventh generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3. Please get vaccinated and boosted.
Thanks, Alan Roy and Robert Lilligren and Ogimaa and Wendy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Prairie Farm Supply in Belle Plaine reminds listeners, in times of war and peace, the men and women of our military dedicate themselves to serving our country.